Are we good to go? Madam Mayor, earlier today, a motion was made and seconded. I then moved to table the motion. And at this point, I would like to make a motion to take it off the table for consideration.
Okay,
The motion had to do with the city manager.
okay.
So that's my motion to take it off the table.
I'll second it. Discussion?
Vote? Aye.
Discussion?
No discussion?
So,
I have a question. If it's off the table and I'd like to put it back on the table, do I make the motion again?
You can restate your motion.
Sorry, you don't have to do that. If you vote to remove it from the table, then it's back before you.
Mhm.
It's a continuation
Oh,
of your vote.
got it.
Right,
Oh,
so-
Okay, okay, thanks.
So,
So I think that you might need a vote to remove it,
Or,
to untable.
put it back on the table.
my motion is to put it back on the table for discussion.
yeah,
Oh,
I just didn't
I seconded
understand if
Yes.
We have a second?
There was a
that
second.
the
Aye.
There needs to
Aye.
be-
Aye.
For discussion, right?
Okay, now it's back on the table.
Okay.
Okay. And would you like to have her restate her motion, original motion?
I make the motion to retain our current city manager, Ms. Lynn Murkowski, offer her a yearly wage of $80,000 or more, and purchase a city vehicle for official use only.
And we had a motion and second on that, so then it's up for discussion, correct?
this was just restating.
I guess we're looking to Lynn to comment.
How did your interviews go?
Well, understand that this motion was made prior to any.
Right.
Yes, I did make it earlier.
How do you feel your interviews went? Would be my first question. Are you,
I think they went
I
very
think
well,
they went very well.
very well.
I appreciate the consideration. Resigning from my position as city manager is one of the most difficult decisions that I've made. Prior to all of the social media stuff that has happened, the decision was made for me to resign. I do waver back and forth on whether or not it was the best decision for me, because I do love this job, and there's no doubt about that. And I think that all of you and prior council members can probably see that and know that, and I would hope so. And if not, then I haven't done my job well. However, I do believe that it is time for me to move on. And so I appreciate all of council and your consideration. However, I'm going to have to say no.
At least we tried. So, what's
So
our
now
next
we're
step with
gonna-
this?
So-
To hire somebody.
I have to finish my scoring, and then I'll be ready to tell you what I have.
Do we vote or we just let it go?
No.
Let it go.
The motion was to
Hire
make,
everybody?
the motion was to make an offer, and she's not accepted it.
Right, so based upon the vice mayor's motion, you may decide to withdraw your motion. Or you could take a vote.
Vice Mayor, you want to withdraw your motion or do you want to vote?
Yes, I'll withdraw it. I have a question about the tallying up of the scores for these people. Now, we asked the same question to two of the candidates, and the last person, that was the last candidate we withdrew it because it really didn't make much sense, and it didn't for me either,
It
for
didn't from
any
the
of them.
beginning, no.
Now, do we deduct the score we gave for the other two people? Because we're not counting it on the third one.
I gave him a neutral 3 on that one.
Either score them all the same or don't score it at all.
Right. So okay, so let me go back and change that.
So we deduct
I
the
just was-
Sedgwick? I'm sorry. Okay, and another thing, may I ask, please? I rated using 1, 3, and 5. Now, was it supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I used that.
Or 1, 3, or 5?
I did it the same way.
I did,
Okay,
I did 1 through 5.
I
If you're
did one.
consistent with your scoring,
Doesn't
it
matter.
shouldn't matter.
okay, okay.
And this is really an internal score anyway to
So-
guide each individual
My
council
problem is,
council
though-
person as to how they're going to rank the person. Is that
Yes,
correct?
because this is not my entire score. I also looked at their education.
Yeah.
I gave a separate evaluation of their experience. I looked at other things besides the interview. The interview is just part of my total evaluation.
And that's a good description of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good description, Councilman Lewandowski, because just like you spoke about the references prior to the interview questions, I would suspect that your reference checks would be one component of the score, or one component of your analysis. So this is just a tool. Hypothetically, someone could score the highest, and you may not believe, based on other considerations, that they should be selected as the candidate.
Because we're in the judgment mode, and this is just one tool in making that judgment call.
Yes, sir.
I have to go and remove this from this one right here, but it won't make a lot of difference.
chiropractor tomorrow. My shoulder's killing me from sitting here all day. Jeez. Got a knot in that right there.
Either that or go see masseuse, one or the other.
I usually get cramps. I take cramp pills just before we sit down.
I'm not used to sitting this long.
And
These chairs to me ain't that comfortable.
they're better than what we had before.
I like those. I got something to put my head
Oh,
on.
really? Those just didn't work for me.
Almost done. Just trying to make sure I took that other scoring thing out.
I didn't do that.
Okay, I'm good. So, we ready to start discussing this?
I am.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so who wants to go first?
Well, how do we want to do this? Do we want to like give a score? Do we want
You-
to rank order them?
You have a lot of discretion. I mean, you know what? Just as an idea, maybe if everybody just says who your number one pick is,
Okay,
and then discuss from there.
okay. Here. Who wants to go first?
I would give my number one as Mr. Van Zant.
I'd give mine to Mr. Shoebridge.
Mr. Shoebridge.
Mr. Van Zandt.
Why do I always have to?
And at the end,
You sit on the other end.
yeah, you go first.
Sorry, Tony.
I'll tell you what, Councilman Brown, let me try to take some heat off you. Okay, there's two candidates. Why don't you all just talk about them? And then make your decision based on the discussions.
Okay, I'll start discussion. Mr. Shoebridge did not meet with the city manager, did not meet with the city accountant, tried to do stuff remotely on the internet. Whereas Mr. Van Zant did meet with the city manager, did meet with the city accountant, is extremely well-versed on local issues, knows what the centennial celebration is about, knows what the water management district is doing with the Black Creek project and how important that is to this community. He knows about the developments in Fox Run and Sunrise Boulevard. His weakness is he's not been a city manager. And that is definitely a plus on Mr. Shoebridge's resume. Mr. Shoebridge has been a city manager for less than 4 years. It's not like he's Mr. Gardner, who's been a city manager for almost, 2 decades. So yes, Mr. Shoebridge has that advantage, but Mr. Van Zant has shown me, sometimes actions speak louder than words, that he wants to do this job and he wants to do it right because of his actions.
Okay. I agree with what you're saying, Dan. I've known Charlie since he was a kid. And that's the benefit of being in a small town. I've watched him grow from being a kid playing football all the way to what he has become. been a part of hiring every city manager we've had here, and not a one of them really had the experience as a city manager when we hired them. It was a lot had to do with their education, a lot had to do with their leadership and the roles that they have had in the past. Mr. Shoebridge has experience. He has what I was looking for in the way of his credentials, in the way of knowledge and stuff. But I just, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm gonna take some heat from some people, because there are people that hold grudges and issues that have happened in the past when Mr. Van Zant was school board superintendent. They can't get over it. I've gotten over it, so I don't know why they can't. But anyhow, I look at Charlie as being, he's a hometown boy. He loves this community. He's had opportunities probably to go somewhere else, but he stayed here in Keystone, raised his family, grew up here, and he's got a heart for this community. And I know Mr. Hart was real big in the way of, when we did the qualifications, we let the military experience have, and he does have a lot of experience. And it's just like my talk with the general, he was, Charlie was willing to take on anything and did a good job doing it. He knows how to supervise, he knows how to lead. And we do have a very small staff here. And one of the things that I'm looking for is somebody that a storm comes up or something, or staff needs help doing something, he's going to be there. He believes boots on the ground and get the job done. And but does he have an experience of a municipality? No, he's got more experience than what we would that I think any of these other candidates, in the way of his background and leadership. You spoke about the water. His family's been involved in initiating some of this stuff that we've got going on right now. With the pipeline and stuff, he's aware of it. There's no curve there, and that's very important. If you go across the bridge right now, the water is coming up, and we don't even have a pipeline. The creek is flowing. I went there yesterday, and so we got a lot of work to do on that. I think he's aware of that. He understands that, where if we bring someone else in from somewhere else that doesn't have a clue about our needs for this water and the cleanup that we're going to have, it might kind of hinder us moving ahead faster. So that's my opinion.
Can I just add too that if we hire any of these three gentlemen, we'll be good. They're
Yes.
all
Yeah,
really good
I agree with
candidates.
that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I just gave my number one, but I think they're all three great guys.
I agree with that, Dan.
I have a problem with, and I get family, I have family, and I love my family. But I have a little bit of a problem with possible absenteeism with family issues with him. That's the only thing that I could think of with Charlie that, bothered me a little bit, that he may be gone and not available. We all know, we're very aware of how important having a city manager every day is. So, I mean, it was nice of him to inform us and tell us that, and I certainly understand it. But that's a concern, the one concern I have.
And I was, it kind of caught me off guard,
Yes.
but I understand it.
So do I.
But school is out. His son graduated in May, so we're
Right.
not talking very long.
Right.
I'd like to flip that just a little bit. To me, his talking about family and how important that was, that's a plus. I think it goes to his moral character. I think it goes to his integrity. I think it goes to him being a good fit in the community, because this is a community-oriented
I know,
place.
been here a long time.
I'm just, you know,
Oh,
giving.
I get
Yeah,
it, but
yeah,
that
yeah.
was the, like I
No,
said, that was the only concern.
I agree. Regarding not having any experience as a city manager, Scott Cornegay didn't have any. Scott Cornegay, he did special projects for the fire department in Duval County, but he didn't run a school district. I don't think he ever had to run for public office and actually go out and meet the people. So and as you pointed out, Mr. Brown, I think that while it would be nice to have somebody who's plug and play, Charlie's about as close as you're going to get to that, just with all the experience he's got. He knows the city, he knows the people. He's obviously quite intelligent. He's articulate, presents himself extremely well. He knows budgets. He's done that. He's done heavy-duty negotiations. He has a lot of experience dealing with emergency management issues. And he does have some outstanding references. I don't know if you had a chance to look at any of these. Ironically, one of these is directed to the Sarasota School Board, because I know he applied for another job. But did you see who signed this? General Michael Flynn, and, you know, heavy-duty national figure. Plus some very other qualified people. So I think the guy is as close to being tailor-made for this job as we're going to get. And when he was talking about when he was flying helicopters in Iraq, and they were leaving, and he had to basically organize all the supplies and all that stuff, that's how General Grant started out. I just read a book about General Grant. That's where he got in one of the early wars. He actually became the quartermaster and had to do all this stuff, and that's how he got his chops. And you know, I'm not saying that Charlie's presidential material, but the contrast or the similarity was outstanding to me. So I have no reservations about recommending that Charlie Van Zant be our city manager.
So, you know, again, I look at this with kind of eyes wide open, and I'm trying to make it not personal at all, because it's not a personal decision. It's a decision on what's best for our city right now. And when I look at my scoring, and they are really the two candidates, all three were great, just like you said, Nan. We're really lucky to have some very qualified gentlemen in front of us today. I think it was a real treat. There's a lot of places could only beg to have that, just like when we hired Miss Silva here, we were very lucky. In contrast, they are contrasted very differently in unique ways. Of course, Charlie would have talked to city manager, our accountant. He lives here. He has those relationships already. He has that opportunity. Mr. Shoebridge does not. He lives 3 hours away from here. But he did look at his resource. He was resourceful in going to our website, which is not necessarily very intuitive to look at. And he did look at some of our meetings and observe some things that we've had going on.
Well, Mr. Gardner lives 3 hours away too. He figured out a way to meet with Mr. Patowski.
Well, I don't know what he did specifically, but he's not who we're talking about. We're talking about these two gentlemen.
And Mr. Shoebridge did come in and get the budget.
Huh?
Mr. Shoebridge did come in to get the budget to review it.
He did. He got a copy of the budget when he walked in the door this afternoon. So that piece of it, you know, the local, distant. Right now, I feel like when I look at the scoring and the bare facts, the presentation, both excellent interviews, absolutely hands down. Both very colorful personalities, very likable personalities. We need that right now. We need somebody to like who's in this building. And right now, there's a lot of dislike, unfortunately. Good or bad, whether it's deserved or not, there's a lot of negative in the community, and we have got to fix that. I want it drippy sweet when people walk in that door, regardless of the problem. Connections with relationships in town here, with people who we know, who we may not like so much, but we don't. You know, everybody has those people that you're just like, oh God, here she comes. I don't want to talk to her right now. We do not have the privilege of doing that. We don't. You walk in that door, whether I like you or not, I'm here to help you. And I think that is something that has to change. And, you know, personalities get involved and all that. I feel like fresh eyes in the town, different perspectives based on different experiences. He does have experience with our sunshine laws, which is a real bonus, maybe not nearly as much as Charlie has. But I feel like fresh eyes in our community is not necessarily a bad thing. It gives everybody else an opportunity to develop a new relationship. Plus, some of his vision, some of his direct experiences, like he shared with us, the whole thing with the chief of police experience, that was a very difficult decision there. And then the folks that I talked to, including the ones out of Reddington Shores, he was working with very challenging situations there, which he did make the right decision to move away from it just because there was nothing he was gonna be able to do to change it. And they were not operating the way they should be, which is unfortunate. I mean, we put things in place to prevent that from ever happening for us, which was a smart thing to do. So, I don't know, my goal, my gut, really either one of them, to me, would be perfect. But I really would prefer seeing new eyes, new thoughts, new insights, because of outside experiences, fresh slate, getting to know everybody all over again. And you're right, Charlie is plug and play. He knows all these people, all these stakeholders. But I'm sure he has people that he doesn't necessarily care about as well, you know? I mean, I don't know. But, and he has been a superintendent, which is great. And that's a much bigger responsibility than this in the big picture. And the military. They both are equal in the military, on the formal education. That is like almost dead even. But he does have the city manager certification. Jeff does. Charlie doesn't. I know Charlie said he would get it. I don't know, it's just my gut feeling about it. It's not personal at all. I think the world of Mr. Van Sant.
Can we hire both of them?
No, don't we? I wish I could hire both of them. I just think they're both incredible men. And I think they'd be, you know, in different ways, a really good advantage for us to have. We need a lot of help right now.
Yeah, they have good qualities that you know, qualify them to do the job.
That's interesting. They have different strengths
Yes.
and different weaknesses.
Yep.
And they don't actually pair up. I mean, Charlie has the institutional knowledge of the area
Yep.
that Jeff does not.
Mhm.
Then again, Jeff has knowledge of local government that Charlie doesn't have. So I think also I would suggest, think about who you envision in the seat for a decent amount of time, so that as much fun as this has been, we don't have to do this again in a couple of years.
That was another factor, to me in my mind, is I think Jeff's kind of in for, I mean, he loves a small town. He's made it very clear he doesn't have any other aspirations to run a bigger city. You know, he wants to kind of put his roots somewhere and be there. He's close to his family at this location. And, you know, I think, you know, I know Charlie just retired, and I know he's involved with the airport and doing some of the things, the other stuff. He's got some consulting things and all too. But I think they're kind of in different times of their life, in a way. You know I've been there myself, and I mean, here I'm doing this now, and I didn't know I was gonna do this. But as far as that career thing and a full-time job, you know, is that really what Charlie wants right now, like he mentioned with his son? I know it's only a small period of time, but what happens if something else happens? I mean, I really respect the whole family thing. We've all got that and that value. But I think Jeff has the same family value. But I think it's just important for us to think about, like you said, the longevity. I think it's an important thought.
Well, you say that, Mayor, but if you look at managers, they don't stick around very long.
No, city managers averages, I think I saw 3 years in the United
Yeah.
States.
Didn't
Just
you say
like Jeff-
That was your
6 or
comment.
Something like that?
It's usually 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
3 to
Yeah,
5?
well,
In all
Okay.
fairness to managers, it's usually because the electeds change.
That is
Yeah.
exactly right.
Mhm.
And
Squabbles.
actually, Jeff left, it had been a revolving door. I think they said 5 or 6 managers before he came in, all in a year or less.
Yeah, up in Minnesota, that's what it was.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
You
But-
don't wanna do this again real soon.
And again, he only left there, because they said, God, we take him back in a heartbeat. He said it was just amazing. But, you know, the only thing was that he wanted to get near his family, so
Mhm.
that was the decision to come back to Florida.
Totally understand.
Because he's a Florida boy to begin with.
Yeah.
It was
I'll-
funny, his journey, talking about how he wound up there.
Mhm.
I would hope as a thing of confidence to whoever we hire, that it be a unanimous decision.
That is one of the most helpful things. I was gonna get to that. So
Yeah,
I appreciate you
yeah.
brought that up. So it's a hard place to be, but I also say that as an attorney that gets hired by councils, it is tough to come into an
And if I can add, we need to be able to defend our choice, because there could be citizens that come at us and say, you know, Charlie was the obvious choice, or we hate Charlie and he's not the man. You know, whatever they're gonna come at us with, if we're united behind our choice, then our city manager is a much more actionable position.
Well, they have to have your support, because otherwise,
Yeah.
citizens are smart, they will try to divide and conquer,
Yeah.
try to pit you against the manager, against each other.
And
That's
so,
it. We're really not that kind of city, and I mean, pray we don't end up looking like that.
and I don't think we will, but just the caution would be not to say, well, he wasn't my first choice, he was my second choice. You know, whether it is who it is, whoever it is, I will back that person 100%.
Well, I mean, we're all individual people. We're gonna have if we feel something, we're supposed to vote that way.
I agree.
But what happens at the end of the day, it is what it is. And we will stand, speaking for me, I will stand behind the
Okay.
decision that we make. Is that what you're saying? Do we all have to vote unanimously for one person?
It helps.
Well, can I throw something in real quick?
Sure you can.
The first city manager, which was Ken Venables, he was from up north. He was a fireman, fire chief,
Okay.
fire chief of Palaca, and he had left that position to go to the city to do a position there. I didn't vote for the man, and I'm a fireman. I didn't vote for him
Okay.
because I felt at the time it would be our first one. We needed somebody with more experience. And, but when the vote came, I did vote for him because it needed to be across the board. And just like Rich is saying, it's better for somebody that's coming in, knows that we're all united into one, instead of, okay, I'm gonna have to watch this council person because they didn't vote for me, you know? And I've heard that in League of Cities meetings and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was in that position, when we first started this, form of government. So, but I did change to vote for the gentleman, and we worked close together.
Okay.
And Vice Mayor, I would say too, I think we need to be, as a council, okay with votes that are 3-2 and 4-1.
Yes.
And be professional and respectful of it. This is one vote. I would ask that we all try to vote the same way. The
I'm
other
go-
ones, I don't have a problem with 3-2 or 4-1 or whatever it is.
I'm gonna throw out a motion here and see where it goes. I move that we have a unanimous vote for Mr. Van Zandt as our city manager. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Discussion. Are we agreed, Mr. Green, Mr. Lee? What was
Mr.
it?
Gardner, you have to talk about, so.
No, well, we can put this out for discussion, I suppose, and then just,
Like, no, I'm just like, he's off the table, right? It's between the two.
That's, we pretty wait for yours.
you know,
Okay.
just as a matter of information, I did ranking, and I would love to work with Lee Garner. I think he'd be a great city manager. But he got number 3 just because of some of his answers. But I think, in my view, Charlie is head and shoulders. That's why I've made the motion.
What other negatives do we have for Mr. Van Zandt?
I
Besides-
don't have any negative, and that was just an observation. I wouldn't say that's, I mean, that was the only thing that I thought, okay, well, he might not be here sometime. Okay. That's not necessarily a negative. Like I said before, I totally understood it. It wasn't meant to sound like a negative. If it did, I apologize. I like both candidates. I like both of them. I don't want to have to vote unanimously to save face. I am my own person, as I've always been since I joined council. But I would stand by the decision of the council as a whole and the voting, just, you know, whoever they voted, I will certainly stand by that
And I don't
new
think anyone-
manager.
No one's suggesting that you vote against kind of your thoughts or your conscience.
Okay.
This is kind of what the discussion is, to try to get a feel for, as a group,
Uh-huh.
because again, this is the only way you can speak with each other. So this is the way,
Sure.
as a group, to get a feel for kind of how you think the best is for the city. You know, the strange irony is, you know, many times there's an advantage to being the local guy, to knowing the area, knowing what's going on, knowing what's important. And then there are other times where being the outsider, where you don't know anybody, is the advantage. And that's kind of what you're tasked to figure out today.
Is there an option in this vote to abstain?
No.
You're required to vote.
Okay.
Well, we have a motion and a second
Any
discussion.
more discussion?
No, I mean, my biggest thing is just exactly what you said. You have a local and you have an outsider. For me, again, it was all about right now, what do we need? And I feel an outsider is the better solution. They're both they're equal in their qualifications, different experiences, but definitely high scores on many things. And when I go down the line and look at it, not only on just the interview, but the scorecard that I had, they're quite equal. And so it comes down to outsider versus insider. Yeah, it's great to have those relationships, but I think right now, it's good to have someone from the outside come in. New eyes on the street, new face in town, and see where that takes us. It's just, and it is nothing personal whatsoever. It's just my feelings on it.
Okay, so you put the
The-
motion stands, and then you did the second. I don't know what that was.
The motion.
Somebody's outside doing something? It sounds like it's outside.
Somebody's hitting the wall.
Sounds like,
Oh, I thought it was the microphone.
no,
Yeah.
I think it's a basketball or
No,
something.
somebody's
It's
throwing
just
a
like a
ball
ball.
against the wall.
Somebody's
That's
doing
right.
something against the background.
Well, my motion is to have a unanimous vote, so if that fails, then I guess we don't have a unanimous vote. But as
The
we
motion
did,
is just to have the unanimous vote.
for Mr. Van Zandt. Oh, just, it's for Mr. Van Zandt.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
No, I agree.
yeah. I could withdraw it and it just we'll take it in bits and pieces and decide whatever it is gonna be unanimous and then go from there if you want to do it that way. I'll withdraw my motion. If that's what you want.
I think the way it sounds to me, we just need to withdraw it and just everybody votes the way they want to vote.
Okay,
That's a cleaner way to go.
okay.
Could I ask for us to write it on a piece of paper so no one is influenced by the other members' votes?
Oh,
You can write it down, but just understand that those are all public.
Yeah.
I
Of course.
think we.
Well, then we can
kinda
just
know
say what
that.
we wrote down. But, you know, Tony felt pressure, obviously, when it came down to him. And this way, we could at least help Tony out a little bit here.
It's still public no matter what.
I know, we'll come out.
oh, well.
You know.
I don't
mean,
have a problem saying who I'm going to vote.
I think we just have a voice vote.
I don't either.
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
I,
Just an idea.
All right.
I mean, it's, like I said, we have two incredible candidates, and it's a very tough decision.
Okay, well, I've withdrawn my motion, and Tony, I think you've withdrawn your
Yes.
second. So we're clean slate, back to ground zero.
So we need to vote.
We need a motion.
We need
Need a
to
motion.
make a
Wow,
motion
yeah.
on a candidate.
Well, I'll move that we hire Charlie Van Zandt as our city manager, subject to negotiations being satisfactory with our city attorney. And if negotiations fail, that Mr. Shoebridge be made the same offer.
Second.
Get a vote?
All in favor?
Are you calling for the vote here?
Calling for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All not in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Mhm.
Motion carries.
3-2.
Okay. Good.
Long one.
Listen, you guys, you
Well,
did it.
actually, we have another step. for negotiations, right? Don't we need to talk about what we're gonna offer?
True.
And so to help our discussion, this is not meant to be anything formal or official or
No.
totally. And one for the city attorney. So I know our range was 65 to 90, but any of our candidates were gonna have the qualities that would bring it way above 65 anyway. So I just started at 60K, which was where my research had took me. And I said, start at 60K and then add based upon all these different possible categories. And so based on their leadership, based on their management experience, their government, non-city experience, and their city experience, you could add 1K to 2K based upon how good or how much there was in that experience category, or 1 to 5K. I felt city experience was the best experience to have, and so that's why there was more money involved there. Education, it's self-explanatory. Retirement offset, we had 2 candidates who indicated that money was really not important, that because of their retirement or because of their age, they did not need a retirement money of any kind to be paid for. And we typically put in 5% toward retirement for a candidate. So if a candidate is offered the job, in this case it would be Mr. Van Zandt, 5% of the 60,000 would be 3K, and 5% of the 90,000 would be 4.5K. So instead of receiving that in retirement funding, our candidate could receive that in additional pay. Same thing is true with the healthcare offset. The city typically pays $12,000 to $17,000 a year in healthcare coverage. If that person, and Mr. Van Zandt, I believe, was one who said he didn't need it, he had other coverage. So therefore, he could receive additional pay because the city, and he said he was willing to split that with the city, so to speak. So my suggestion is that the healthcare offset and additional pay would be 6 to 9K more, something along that lines. And then I'd made a hypothetical example of some person with this experience, with that education, with related certificates, offsets, and then there was the other category, anything else that anyone felt was important. And you add that all up, and in this hypothetical example case, we'd offer 85,000. You don't have to follow this. It was, I'm an engineer, it's a logical way to do it.
No.
So I have a question, and I guess I'm just thinking about how I've been paid in every job I've been in practically, is I have a set salary. My benefits are health care, which I could say, don't need it, so I don't have health care under, say, Abbott, for example. So I don't have that comes out of my check each month. I still have the same salary. So I make that choice based on my base salary. No, I don't need health care, so guess that's $200 a month I'm not paying. Retirement, I choose what to put in. Babbitt gave me retirement that they paid me, it's just there. But if I decide to add to it, personal choice, it's not like a salary's a salary, and those are considered benefits that are inclusive of that salary. It's not like you can nitpick and choose and say, hey, I don't want health care and I don't want retirement, so Abbott, you need to pay me $90,000 instead of $85 because you're giving me these things. Make sense? It's almost like negotiating time off from work. I don't need time off from work, so I want you to give me that money, right? Make sense? Am I wrong to, it's a state facility, so I wouldn't think that
So
those
there are
should,
different companies that run different ways.
But
Okay,
we're
my
talking-
mother used to work for Bank of America, and she could choose different amounts of vacation time, and her pay would vary based upon how much vacation
But
time
what- but-
she chose.
yeah, but with the we're county or state government, right?
We're municipal, so we're not state government, that's a different.
So are their benefits all inclusive in their salary? Is that how it's done as a group package thing? Right.
I mean, they look at the full compensation package.
So can they nitpick and pull out certain things if they don't want, or is it just you decide based on what you're paying? That's what I thought. So that's what
Not as
I'm,
an employee, but with the city manager, we can do that. We can say you get a cell phone or you don't get a cell phone.
no, cell phone's
You get
different.
a car Or you don't get a car allowance.
I'm talking about the base pay salary. Those are additional benefits.
Well,
Am I wrong to, I don't know what the way it works for this, the way this is set up here.
It shouldn't affect, it's a good thought process, but
Yeah,
it would just help me if
You're
you just
putting
tell
your
me
t-
what
your-
you want the salary to be.
Let's do that. That's even better.
Let's,
But, you
But-
know,
Crumple this up and throw it in the garbage.
no, you're monetizing is what you're
Appreciate it.
doing, which
It's
is
appre-
great.
No, it's a good-
appreciated.
good
Because you know what?
methodology.
Framework, but even with your framework, it would just help because that's a good starting point to look
Yeah.
at it.
This is how, what's included, and this is the value.
I just would like to know what you're looking at as a.
well, we were prepared to pay Lynn $80,000 plus a car. I don't think you
Wow.
intended to buy a car, but the use of a car.
So I'd be careful on that.
Yeah, I would too.
Lynn's also got
Yeah,
executive experience with the
yeah.
county government. I mean, it's,
Well, my point is do we really want to exceed what we offered Lynn by very much? Just,
and I don't
Could-
wish to cheat anybody. The flip side of that argument is you only pay her 70 now.
well,
She said 67.
we were offering her 80. We offered her 80 today. So I would say with Mr. Van Zandt, the 80 to 85 range would be very correct. Yeah.
Well, in the back of my head, I was thinking around 70, 75, or at least 75.
How about 82.5? Let's
How about
split
80?
it.
And the middle.
How about what?
80?
I'm good with that.
I'm good with 80.
I'm good with 80.
Can you come up, Davey?
Yep, it's there.
Yeah,
I wish I was younger.
I'm fine with 82.
And just so we're clear, the 80, the way you're viewing it takes into consideration that he's not accepting the healthcare.
Right. Now, he did offer to work basically without pay for, what was it, a couple of months?
Yeah, I would not advise.
I wouldn't
I
do
would
that.
advise
Yeah,
that.
I don't know how that works.
I don't
Because
think,
I've
yeah,
never heard of that.
No.
no, I don't,
There's legal problems with that.
yeah.
It's
Well,
it's
yeah.
a very generous assertion, but I would not advise.
Well,
Can he work for time without pay? You know, he cannot do that? I wouldn't do
I
that.
wouldn't think it's being.
I wouldn't think we
See,
do.
I'm allowed to do that with the school district. I can take time off.
Here, I'm not taking any more.
I think that
I think
gets,
we have
just,
to
Especially if there's a
especially when you're a
you might
new
have to search
employee, that
for
gets
it.
real
Yeah, I
messy.
think
Well, how do we deal with that, though?
we have to
Yes.
keep,
What, he works what, with that, what do you mean?
Now
Without,
that he was requesting additional time off.
I think we need to monetize what that time off specifically is, how many hours is that, when it is? And that if he does, he has to work to replace those hours. I mean, I don't know, how do you do that?
I would say that,
It's like,
so the way our contract is always read, the manager position accrues time in the same manner that the other employees do. That's just a morale fairness issue. I would say if it comes up to a point where your city manager does not have sufficient time, then he should have a conversation with you about how to, whether you offset later on or leave without pay. I mean, there's a couple different ways to do that.
because he's talking about the first couple of months, right? Yeah, so that's really significant, because it's in the very beginning of the job, because Lynn's gonna be gone the 10th. So I would just say monetize specifically what that is, and
I would
how do you make up that time? I
deal
mean,
with it as it comes along.
huh?
Deal with it as it comes along.
Yeah, and I understand it can be flexible and all that. It's just, it's like asking for time off before you have it, you know, really have a solid job in the first 3 months of your position, right? I mean, I respect what he's trying to do. I'm not being negative about it. I'm just saying,
We know.
you know, we have to just kind of think about that.
Yeah.
This happens to many people when they're hired in December, and then the holidays are there, and they can't take time off.
Yeah.
Okay, so have we decided, we haven't decided on a starting salary, or
I've
have we?
heard 80,000 is
80,000.
consensus from the council.
Okay.
and we're
So that's-
authorizing you to commence negotiations
We'll hold off on posting this video until there's a completed contract.
with
Yeah.
Mr. Schubert,
Shoebridge.
Shoebridge, as the
Can
second.
you use a
second-
filter?
That's not the way sunshine works.
Yeah. From a-
I'm playing.
From a record-keeping
At least.
standpoint, we we, I think, we're required to turn our
Oh.
score sheets in.
We have to turn this.
I didn't mean that kind
Yeah.
of.
Oh, Brody. Make sure I got my name on it. I think we're done. We just gotta turn these in.
I am going to leave my paperwork on the desk.
I will gladly pick it up.
Thank you. If you would like me to hand it to you, I can do that.
If council members would like to leave it in your area, I will be glad to come by. and pick it up.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, is there anything else before you adjourn?
Don't think so. I'm so proud of everybody. I think y'all did a great job today. Excellent, and Stephanie, outstanding.
Yes.
Great job. This gotta be tough asking us same questions. And Garrett, thank you so much too. Hopefully Garrett was able to filter us out
Thank
of
you,
some
Garrett.
stuff, maybe. But I think it was a really good day.
Are we adjourned?
We just need to leave the score sheets